The fire crackled loudly as the boys laughed, tossing sticks, papers, and whatever they could find into the flames. But when Emily walked closer and saw what they had thrown in this time, her heart nearly stopped. It wasn't just an old piece of cloth. It was her father's uniform, worn and faded but sacred to her. That uniform wasn't just fabric, it carried stories, sacrifices, and the memory of a man who had given everything for his country. For a moment, Emily couldn't even breathe. Her father, Captain Daniel Harris, had been a soldier. He never returned from his last mission overseas. All Emily had left of him was a folded flag, a few photographs, and this uniform. His jacket, still smelling faintly of the cologne he wore and the smoke from long patrols. She had kept it tucked safely in her bag, bringing it to school because she wanted to wear it for a presentation about her hero. But before she could explain, the group of boys who always mocked her snatched it away, calling it a useless old rag. And now, without hesitation, they had thrown it into the bonfire behind the school. Emily's scream tore through the air.
"Stop! That's my dad's!"
She lunged forward, but the boys only laughed louder. "Relax," one sneered. "It's just an old coat. Nobody cares." But Emily cared, more than they would ever understand. She reached desperately toward the fire, but the heat was too intense. Tears streamed down her face as she watched the flames lick at the fabric, curling the edges. The other students, who had gathered to watch, fell silent. It wasn't just her pain they were seeing. It was something bigger, something sacred, burning before their eyes. And then it happened. As the flames rose higher, the jacket didn't burn the way they expected. Instead, a strange stillness filled the air. The fire hissed, sparks flew upward, and suddenly, a patch of the jacket, where her father's name was stitched, remained untouched. The flames danced around it but didn't consume it. A hush fell over the crowd. Even the boys froze, their laughter vanishing. Some swore they heard a faint voice, carried on the wind, whispering like a soldier's command, "Stand tall." Emily dropped to her knees, sobbing but also trembling with awe. "Dad," she whispered. The other students shifted uncomfortably, guilt washing over their faces. It was as if the fire itself had chosen to protect what mattered most, the memory of a man who had given his life. For days after, the story spread across the school. Students who had never spoken to Emily approached her quietly, some apologizing, some asking about her father. She told them how he would sit with her at night, teaching her about courage and kindness, reminding her that even small acts of bravery mattered. She told them how he smiled the day he left for his final mission, promising he would always be with her, even if not in person. But the real challenge began when Emily had to face the boys who had burned the uniform. Part of her wanted to hate them forever. Yet when she saw their downcast eyes and the way they avoided her, she realized they too had been shaken by what happened. One afternoon, the ringleader approached her in the hallway, fumbling for words. "Emily, I'm sorry. We didn't know. We didn't understand." Her voice trembled, but she stood tall, just like her father had taught her. "You don't have to understand. Just never mock someone's pain again. You don't know what they're carrying." That moment changed everything. The uniform, scorched but still bearing her father's name, was placed in a glass frame at the school entrance as a reminder. Students passed it every day, some stopping to read the inscription beneath it, in honor of Captain Daniel Harris, and in respect of the sacrifices families carry. Emily still missed her father every single day, but she no longer felt invisible. His memory had not only given her strength, it had taught an entire school the meaning of respect, sacrifice, and empathy. And though the uniform had been scarred by flames, it stood untouched in the most important way. It continued to inspire. In the end, what left everyone frozen in place wasn't the fire or the whisper in the wind. It was the realization that some things cannot be destroyed. Love, sacrifice, and the courage of a soldier who lives on through his daughter's strength.